I'm ready if y'all are.
Okay. I'm going to call the July the 16th, 2020 virtual regular meeting of the North Augusta Planning Commission to order. I want to welcome everybody, and I do appreciate y'all. We were kind of back and forth about doing the virtual meeting again, but I think we've kind of seen a spike in the community, and I think it doesn't hurt one more time to do this. So maybe if all goes well, we'll be back in person in August, but at least we'll stay safe this 1 month. I like to do the roll call, and we'll just do like we always do. I will call you by commissioner and your last name, and then let you give your first and last name. So we'll start with Commissioner Key. Unmute, Tim. Unmute. Can you unmute, Tim?
Okay. Timothy Key, present.
Okay. Commissioner Mackey?
Joanne Mackey is here.
Okay. Britton Williams is here. Commissioner Crawford?
I'm here. Commissioner Christine Crawford's here.
Okay. Commissioner Clark?
Bob Clark is here.
Okay. Commissioner Carter?
Lynn Carter's here.
Fantastic. Good to see everybody. Thank you. Approval of minutes. Any deletions, additions, or corrections? All right. If not, they are approved as distributed. Ms. Hodges, do we have any type of changes to the agenda tonight?
I have no changes.
Okay. All right, so we'll jump right in with application RZT 20-002, Article 4, Home Occupation Text Amendment, a request by the City of North Augusta to amend Article 4, Supplemental Use Regulations, Section 4.14, Home Occupation to define and clarify food handling regulations. This is a consideration of application RZT 20-002. And we are just going to be making a recommendation to City Council. This is a public hearing, so I will open up the public hearing now and ask Ms. Hodges if you have anything you would like to share for the commissioner.
Sure. So this was a text change that was generated internally. So we have put this forward to you guys. We've had several applications recently for cottage kitchens, and it's something that our code was not very clear about what our regulations really were. So this would serve to clarify those and provide an opportunity for a home occupation within North Augusta.
Okay. Good. I'm going to just allow you to unmute yourself if anyone has any commissioners have any questions for Ms. Hodges at this time. The only question I had was, I was just curious, what are some of the examples of the type of, home businesses that have requested this? What are we seeing?
Sure. So we've had a couple of small home bakeries that just want to make, a few candies or things to go sell it. I mean, there's not a lot of fairs or anything happening right now, but to package meals, specialized nutritional meals or meals for delivery. That's an important part of this is that none of this will be consumed on site. So this is all intended to be prepared at home in the cottage kitchen and then sent somewhere else to be consumed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if there's not any other questions for Ms. Hodges' staff, I'm assuming the applicant, are you here? You're representing the city?
That's correct.
Okay, do you need to give your name and address for the record?
My name is Libby Hodges. My address is 100 Georgia Avenue.
Okay.
And we did not have any public any public comments on this at all.
Okay. All right. Anything you need to add from what you've already shared with us?
Not unless the commission has any particular questions.
Okay.
I have one question. On page 7, Libby, on page 7, it says that you don't have to have occupancy at the home for it to be a home occupation. So does that mean you can just rent a small house and do it from there and you don't really live there?
Oh, no. That just means we don't require a certificate of occupancy above and beyond the certificate of occupancy to occupy the home in general. So you could not rent a
Okay.
house and not live there and have a home occupation.
Okay. All right. I have another question on the same page. So at the bottom of this, it says, for the purpose of this section 44-1-143, that certain foods are hazardous foods. Is that stricken? We're not worrying about that. It's mostly just going to be bakeries. It's not going to be anybody cooking those foods that are raw food, raw meat.
Right. So those are defined by the state health department. So we would expect
Right?
people to abide by the state health department regulations for these cottage kitchens.
Okay. So you're not going to be supervising this at all?
Other than making sure that they do have their state licensing, no.
Okay. All right.
What precipitated this? Is the city being proactive, or did we get any complaints or?
We haven't gotten any complaints. I'm trying to be a little bit proactive. I feel like this is probably a really good time to make sure that this is clear. We had several applications that we had to deny because, in one place it says it's not allowed, and in one place it says it is. So we go with the more restrictive, which is that it's not allowed. So this is trying to clarify. I think it seemed to me like they were trying to allow it. It just somehow got lost in translation in our regs. And, that just happens occasionally.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Good questions, both of y'all. Anybody else? Any other commissioners? Any questions? Okay. Since I believe, Ms. Hodge, you said there were no public comments in writing, I'm going to close the public portion of the meeting. And any discussion among commissioners?
I guess one of my main things is because of what all the planning commission has to deal with and the planning director has to deal with is all y'all need to be worried about is getting them licensed, and you have nothing to do with if there's an animal walking through their kitchen or all that. That's just going to be with DHEC, I guess, or who handles that?
Yes, that would be with DHEC.
Okay, so you don't have to do anything.
No
more work.
It should be no more work for us.
Okay.
Okay.
Would the applicant have to go through any other approval process? I mean, as far as, let's say I wanted to do something out of my house here, would my neighbors get an opportunity to tell me they didn't want me to do it? Or is that just, or I guess, I worry about a precedent we're maybe setting here. That's the only thing. If I can do it in my house and my next door neighbor can do it, and my next door neighbor can do it, my next door neighbor can do it. I mean, I'm not trying to restrict anybody from doing it. It's just that, are there any sort of other, is it just a matter of coming down to the city and getting the license and just starting up? I guess is the best, maybe that's the better question. I don't know.
To some extent, yes. So on our end, that would be the situation. You would come in and you would get your home occupation permit. We would check that you have gotten your licensing from DHEC, and you would get your business license and proceed that way. If there were any modifications that were made to the building, such as adding sinks, upgrading any kind of power to your ovens or anything like that. That would all go through building standards, and that would be CO'd just like any other CO for an upfit. And we do have some restrictions for home occupations about, not changing it necessarily to a commercial load. So there are some governing mechanisms in there that will keep it from being a large commercial enterprise.
Well, I saw one point was that you couldn't have a large truck delivering materials, right?
I believe you could have them delivered, but you couldn't necessarily have, a tractor trailer come and park in your front yard.
Right.
And even if you did, the tractor trailers, like those level of service, they won't, unless you got a walk-in and proper refrigeration and all of that, they can't take it off their truck anyway. So it's
Right.
not.
Oh, okay.
That's good.
Yeah, I read that part too.
All right. Good comments, good questions. Anybody else? Then I would entertain a motion from a commissioner.
I'll make the motion. I like the motion, the recommendation to the city council that application RZT 20-002, Article 4, home occupation text amendment, be amended, Article 4, supplemental use regulation, Section 4.14, approval.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Key. Is there a second?
I second.
All right, second by Commissioner Mackey. Any other discussion?
It was Crawford.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner
okay.
Crawford. Any other discussion? Okay, so what we'll just do is I'll go down the roll call. You say yay or nay, Commissioner Key?
Yay.
Commissioner Mackey?
Yes.
Yes for Commissioner Williams. Commissioner Crawford?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Carter?
Yes.
All right, it's unanimous. Very good. Thank you all.
Mr. Watts is here also.
Oh, Commissioner Watts. Can you speak? You want to vote? Can you talk?
Yeah,
There he goes.
yeah.
Try again, Mr. Watts.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Are you a yes?
Okay, good. I thought I was just totally muted, but yes, I would vote positive. Yes,
Okay.
perfect.
Good. It is unanimous. Good. Okay. Very good. Thank you. Good to have you with us, Commissioner Watts.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on. Application CONPL 20-002 Walnut Grove, Section 13/townhomes. A request by Keystone Homes Incorporated for a concept plan review of the proposed Walnut Grove Section 13/townhome subdivision located off West 5 Notch Road and Millstone Lane. That is TPN 127-00-01-001, plus or minus 70.3 acres on PD plan development. And this is just a consideration of a sketch plan. So this is an opportunity for us to hear from the applicant and to give any types of feedback back to them. There's nothing that we're giving any approval or denial tonight, just a chance to give the applicant feedback based on what he's presented. So with that, I would ask Ms. Hodges, anything that you want to share with us about this?
Sure. I would like to call attention. This is a PD, but it's a slightly different PD than some of the other ones that we've looked at in the past. Due to the method which this was created as a PD, it really requires us to treat it just a little bit differently. So when it was annexed into the city, the PD was applied as a PDR, and there were some basic restrictions put on the residential development of the property. So in that, we don't have a general development plan. We don't have some of the concept plans. We don't have some of the stuff that we normally would have for a PD. The rules were a little bit different. It's just treated a little bit differently than some of the other PDs that we've looked at. So that's going to be maybe a little bit confusing, but I would just ask that you kind of go with me on the ride on this one. But that being said, we would have to try to use the requirements of the PD and the zoning at the time, as well as some of the current requirements from the development code for some of the infrastructure. So we've tried our best to explain that in the staff report and give some good guidelines for what we would expect to see when we got a preliminary plat in for these projects.
Okay, very good. Any questions from commissioners for Mrs. Hodges? Okay.
Mute yourselves.
Yeah, you need to unmute yourself if you do. All right, if not, then I'm gonna ask the applicant if they would come on and unmute themselves and give us their first and last name and address, please, for the record. Is that you, Mark? Yeah.
Yes, Mark Gillum, 3839 Honors Way, Martinez, Georgia.
All right, nice to have you with us again, Mark.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
You were here a while back, yeah.
Yeah, I hope I get treated a little better tonight than I did last time I was there.
All right, well, what do you want to share with us about this?
Well, we just, our companies develop Walnut Grove and Butler's Mill and Andrews Branch, and the Mackeys actually built a lot of homes in Butler's Mill and Andrews Branch, and we were able to get an agreement to purchase this piece of property, and we basically wanted to extend Walnut Grove. If you're looking at the plat the concept plan that we drew there, and then off of 5 Notch, we want to put some a road in and have some townhomes. It's got some flat pieces of land on it. We're putting the homes, and the rest of it we're going to preserve as is. There's a lot of topography change there, and it's got a nice pond. And we wanted to be able to connect up both of those developments, the detached and the attached, to the walking trail around the big detention area there. And then there's also, I think we donated some land to North Augusta years ago, and there's a park. There's a park there as well. And so we'd have folks have access to the off of St. Julian, there's a park. Mm-hmm. And we would be able to have access to that through the connections that we'd like to do. So we're excited about it, and we'd like to get it started as quickly as we can. Okay.
Very good. We thank you for that information. I know I've got a couple questions for you, but I'll open it up for any commissioners who would like to ask Mark. If you have any questions, this is your time to unmute and ask them. Oh, come on now. Tim, you're going to need to unmute. Tim, you got to unmute. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Mark, I was looking down the some of the standards Do you have any heartburn as to some of the standards, like they had the sidewalks and site plans, the number of units, and are you having any issues with any of the way it's presented now or in the code?
No, in the part that attaches to Walnut Grove, we'd prefer not to have sidewalks there because we don't have any sidewalks in Walnut Grove, and it just seems to be kind of weird to put sidewalks in there now when there's none in Walnut Grove. It's like the sidewalk to nowhere in a way. In the townhome side, we don't have any problem with doing sidewalks there.
Oh, good. Okay.
Okay, and then in the townhome, it's exiting and entering from 5 Notch Road.
Correct. Yes.
I can't really tell. It seems like from the sketches, it's really buttoned up to the other parts of the neighborhood, and there's no way to connect the neighborhoods or the townhomes to the houses. Correct? I can't really tell by the topography how you have it in the straight line coming down. There's no avenue for interconnectivity.
No, because that area it butts right up to other home sites, and then it's I guess the city of North Augusta owns that other part. So I think we can do a walking trail, to but in terms of car traffic, I don't think we can really do that. We'll just have the connection back in the the back right corner up at let's see, Millstone Lane. We connect there,
Right.
and that's about about all we can do.
And I'm just asking,
Yeah.
you're an expert. I'm just making an observation.
One good thing is there's 3 entrances to this neighborhood already off of Walnut Lane.
And I was on page 7 of 10. Well, it starts at 6 of 10 on the development codes, architectural and site layout standards for townhouses. Libby, are we mixing the old with the new? In this example, it has exterior finishes, materials subject to proposed elevation. It seems to be a little bit wordy. Is that a standard thing?
So for the townhomes, yes. Basically, any townhome development is going to be subject to our multifamily design standards. And from what they've shown us, that they're probably pretty close.
And Mark, you've got nailed down the open space because of just the way it is, correct?
Yeah. There's going to be lots of open space on this. Yeah, we intend to put a walking trail and some picnic tables and such down by the pond.
That was something that I had noted, that there was a comment that you didn't have enough open space. But if you look, they are going to have all of that green space set up with a walking trail, a pond, and a gazebo. So I thought that was plenty.
And what I was
that's
thinking,
more than.
Yeah, what I was thinking is it was unused land. Why are you not using all that additional land? That's what I was thinking. I was thinking the opposite. It seemed like you're leaving some on the table. Or am I just misreading it because I didn't drive out there?
Well, you can't see it when you drive out there, because I've driven out there and I couldn't see far enough in there to see what's going on. I mean, I guess you could walk it.
Yeah, I'd just like to clarify that we didn't say that they didn't have enough open space. We just don't have enough information to make that determination at this time.
Oh, okay.
What I was saying is, it appears that he was leaving a lot of land on the table. That's what I was inferring.
Okay.
If I could, can I jump in and add?
Yeah, Mark, go ahead.
This is Philip Green with.
Oh, hey, Philip.
Yeah, and Commissioner Key is correct, but I mean, there is a lot of property out there that we just can't use. There what appears to be a state water stream feeding that pond that prevents us from using pretty much that back half of the property. And then once you have that existing pond on the property, the outfall from the detention pond in Walnut Grove also drains into that pond. So that there's a lot of environmental issues out there that, again, trying to be fairly good stewards of the environment, we don't want to get back there and start disturbing things that we shouldn't.
Also, I was reading about the basin that it was good as far as the water. We're not gonna there's really not gonna be any issue from the use that would damage that at all. Am I correct in assuming that based on the land that's not being used?
Yes, that should be correct. Obviously, we'll take all the precautions needed during construction to protect that basin. And post-construction, there shouldn't be any impacts, negative impacts.
Also, I had some notes on this, and I was having, are you going to be okay? We got the parking, the signage, the street design. Are all those going to be designed for the development? We're not going to have any issues with that.
Yeah,
No,
I think
sir.
Philip
Again,
is. Go ahead, Philip.
This just being the sketch plan for the townhomes. One of the conditions or things that Ms. Hodges noted, the staggering of the frontages, the space in between the buildings, the allocation of the 10% landscaped area, open space to the townhome units. I actually envision, due to some of the topography tying back to, that's one of the reasons why the townhomes stop where they do, is that road dives off. I could actually envision redoing that to create a little bit more length. So yes, this just being a sketch, but as far as the conditions of meeting the requirements for the road design and the internal design of the townhome units themselves, we're willing to meet those.
Good questions. Any more, Commissioner Key?
I am done.
All right. Any other commissioners have any questions for the applicant?
Commissioner Clark, just a minor point, Philip. I assume maybe because of detail. How are people from these single family houses going to get to that racial area without going through somebody's yard? Will it be opening down there somewhere that just doesn't show up?
It will. And I realized that after the sketch was in there, we'll create an opening somewhere down on that cul-de-sac to actually have an HOA property that would give them access to the walking trails and the pond.
Looks like a piece of ground is a lot and no open space, no way to get there. Okay, I'm happy.
Good question. Any other questions from commissioners?
So, this.
Go ahead,
Mr. Crawford.
Oh, this is a quick question. So there was a note about the setbacks and not quite having enough room to meet those, but you all think that you all can address
On the townhome side, we can address those. I know on the single family detached, we were requesting a 53-foot lot with 5-foot side setbacks. And I think Ms. Hodges pointed out that the code would be for 55 with 6-foot setbacks. So to fit the homes that Keystone wants to put on these houses and sort of get the density that we need, that's why we went down to the 53-foot lot. So I would say on the townhome side, we can make those adjustments to the townhomes to bring those in compliance, but we would want to stay with 53-foot wide lots with 5-foot setback.
Okay, good question. Commissioner Carter, did I hear you, see you?
I just had a quick question about the single family. Are you planning to same tax homes that are currently in Walnut Grove? Are you looking at something different, or what's the kind of the overall scheme of things, I guess, from the single family side?
Yeah, they'll be similar. They're not the same homes that we used to build, but they'll be very similar in sizes and in look. You know, it's there'll probably be a lot of 2 stories in the detached area now, because you can build a bigger home when you go 2 stories. So I would anticipate we'd have a lot more 2 stories than we do currently in Walnut Grove.
Okay, good question. Commissioner Carter, another question?
No, I'm good.
Okay, I've got some.
Because I live right in front of Butler's Mill, so I'll keep a good eye on it for you.
First of all, Mark, I like this plan. You know how we feel about mass grading and cutting trees, and I love the idea of how much woods y'all are gonna keep. So I think it fits perfect. Just a couple clarifications from me. There are 3 main waivers that staff feels like may be coming up when y'all come back to us. And the 2 I just want to make sure I get clarification on. Sidewalks is one of them. I think you answered my question that you felt that the townhomes, you saw no issue with sidewalks on that. I think not doing it on the residential housing makes sense since there are no other sidewalks on that property. So just the townhomes would be something y'all would be open to, right?
Yes.
Okay. And as far as the connectivity that you are talking about is the trail that would connect from the townhomes to that section of the residential property, right?
Staff was talking about the connectivity between the 2 developments.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Between the townhome and the residential side.
Right, with the actual road.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. So what I'm saying, if I'm in the townhome, there will be a path for me if I want to connect to, I don't want to drive over to where the residential side is, but that's what the path you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay. No roads with that. Okay, perfect. Okay. Let's see. I think that might have been everything I had. Commissioner Crawford asked the question I had about the setbacks. So staff mentioned that, I know this was not in the sketch plan, but that for group parking, that, we're required by code to have 1 guest per 4 units. And I saw in your write-up where you said that you saw any type of parking issue, you would be able to conform to code. So that shouldn't be any kind of issue either, right?
That's correct. It should not be an issue. And Mark and I talked briefly about the, including particularly in the townhome covenants to ban the parking of RVs. But the guest parking will be provided.
Okay, very good. All right, I got all my questions answered. Any other questions from commissioners for the applicants?
I don't have a question, but I wanted to go back to that connectivity of the 2 neighborhoods. And I'm not at all worried about, or not worried, but I'm not at all thinking that we need those 2 to connect, because if you can walk and ride a bike, whatever, on a trail, you would have connectivity. But on the car, you go over to the Millstone area where you come in and out. That's a pretty tight area right there. And to have all of those people that they could drive through there, come through there, I just think that adds too much pressure on that street for everybody. So I think it's fine the way it's drawn.
Yep.
I do agree they're going to have to open it up where you don't have to go through somebody's yard, though, to get there.
Okay, very good comments. Any other questions for the applicant from commissioners before we talk? Okay, at this point, let's start with Commissioner Key. Any comments you want to have as far as now that you've heard from the applicant and you've heard the questions and the comments, you've seen everything. What's your thoughts on this project moving forward with issues that staff has brought? You're muted.
I'm sorry. All of my questions were answered. What I don't want to do is I don't want to be battling about sidewalks. So, I mean, you know, it looks fine. Everything looks good. The Keystone builds a nice home, and I think, you know, 90 something and 75 townhomes, I think it's going to be a plus. Short of the sidewalk issue, I think everything else could be mitigated. I don't foresee it, you know, having any problems. And the little comment that I made about the land, that was in their favor, thinking that they were leaving a lot of land on the table, because I couldn't really tell by the topo whether it was steep or how bad it was, because I did not walk it. So I mean, it looks fine to me.
Okay, very good. Commissioner Mackey, any thoughts from you?
Going back to the sidewalk issue, Tim, were you saying you were concerned about the sidewalks not being there?
The comment was made that the old neighborhood did not have sidewalks. And
right.
Single family, the guidelines still have that where that sidewalks are to be there. And I think, Mark, am I correct in, if I can ask again, are you not wanting to have sidewalks there?
We didn't plan on it for the detached homes, Tim, but we had planned on it for the townhomes.
So I wanted to, let me give you, Tim, this is kind of y'all probably aren't even aware of this, but when we did Woodstone, the city had us give land for the walking greenway behind every house. And then they had us put sidewalks in front of the house. And the city came back later and said, people aren't going to walk on a double highway. In other words, they said, we're not going to put in the greenway because your parents are not going to have you walk up on the top behind the house, down on the ground at the front of the house. So if they're putting in a walking trail, they're providing a walking path for children to ride their bike with their parents in the evenings. So to me, I don't have a problem with leaving the sidewalks off. That's my take.
Yeah. And my point of view, there's not a rule that I want to hang my hat on. You know, I want just with the information that you gave me is a legitimate reason. So that's not something that I'm stuck on. I just don't have enough information. And what you've just given me is something that pushes me to say that it should be fine. You understand what I'm saying?
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to you, correct.
If I may interject a little bit, this is also a decision that will be made in the future. If they come in with a request for a variance from the standards, we will go through each item and we will have to make a determination then.
Exactly.
Right. And one more thing. The point is, I don't want to be deciding it. I want it to be, we have a means of alleviating sidewalks, or we don't have a means of alleviating sidewalks. And it does not make sense to make someone put in sidewalks if they're not going to be used and it's not practical. But I don't want to be having to make decisions about each time that I want to have something I can hang my hat on as to how we can alleviate that from happening. So that's all I was saying. So the information that Joanne has given, I mean, it's logical, and I try to work from logic and not always the rule says. Okay.
Okay, very good. Commissioner Watts, any comments from you? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. The only comment I have, I think the development's fine, but I'm concerned about the sidewalks, and that, you know, a lot of times the city has to come back in and add sidewalks just like they're doing now. And I guess it's Pinehurst or wherever it is, where they're putting sidewalks from the junior high school to the high school. And I think that, you know, if we set a precedence to have sidewalks, we need to stick with that precedence. And so that would be my only concern. I know we're not really voting on sidewalks tonight. This is just I think it's a preliminary hearing, but my thoughts are that I think that if you have a neighborhood that the city code calls for sidewalks, you just stick to the sidewalks.
Okay, very good. Commissioner Crawford.
So, just so I'm clear, my stance is the same as Commissioner Watts, and key concerns around sidewalks, because the rationale that the adjacent older one doesn't have it is going to always be true if it's adjacent to an older development. So just that if it's currently a new standard, would like sidewalks as well.
Okay, very good. Commissioner Clark.
Well, I agree with the last two comments on sidewalks, but one other variance that we're going to have apparently that didn't come up is the street length. And I know we've dealt with that before and handled it, but it would make it a lot easier, Ms. Hodges, when we do have to deal with this, if we have some kind of comments from engineering and public safety that they don't see it as a problem, because that would probably come up. That's all. Just, you know, a piece of information we need to have.
Yeah, I guess to pile on that a little bit, we try to present these cases to them every time we get them.
Okay. Thank you.
Very good. Commissioner Carter.
No, I'm good. Like I said, I think everybody's asked give me the questions that I had some reservations about as well. But I mean, like I said, I live in Butler's Mill, and there's no sidewalks in Butler's Mill. But if you drive down, you know, a quarter of a mile to the left of me tonight, then you have sidewalks. And we walk every night. Well, my wife walks every night. I don't walk every night, but they normally walk in the street. So really, the sidewalks, in my opinion, aren't getting used that much. So I don't really have a problem with it either way. But definitely, if we've got something in the covenants that need to be, or the rules that need to take place, then we need to look at those at a later time before we make the final. So, but I'm good.
Okay. My comments are just, I like the project, Mark. I think it's a unique piece of property in the way you're doing it. Connectivity is fine with me with what y'all got in the sketch plan. I'm kind of torn on the sidewalks, but I get to thinking that Butler's Mill, no, the subdivision have sidewalks. Why add it on that one piece? I do like the idea of the sidewalks on the townhomes, so I'm not hung up on that. That would be a waiver I might be open toward looking at down the road. But in general, I like it, and there's not anything that you've told us tonight or told me tonight that would, you know, I think we can work. As far as for me, I could work toward this. So, again, everything we've said, as you know, in a sketch plan there's no commitment from us at all. It's just to give you some feedback, give you some ideas of our thoughts and what we may be thinking when you come back to us. And hopefully a lot of this will be solved with Libby and her staff before it comes back to us. So with that, we appreciate your time, Mark.
Well, thanks for listening to us.
Yep, good project. Okay, Libby, we don't need to, there's no vote on this. This is how we end it, right?
I think this is fine. There's no.
Okay, good.
There's no motion to make.
Yeah. Okay, staff reports.
Okay, these are gonna be a little longer than usual. Mark and Philip, you don't have to stick around for this. You don't want to listen. just because we've been, we haven't been meeting in person, so I haven't seen you around to update you on a bunch of stuff. So monthly report, I'm not going to go through that item by item. I think it's shaping up nicely with. If you have any questions about it, please let me know at any time. Moving on from there to just the other project updates, and let me move forward. There we go. So the development code rewrite that is in motion. The contract was approved at the last city council meeting. We are working on the steering committee, and we hope to have that finalized very soon. We'll have a virtual kickoff meeting, and we'll start initiating some of the meetings and some of the public input that we're going to do around that. Hopefully the COVID situation won't delay it. We're going to try to do as much as we can virtually, just to make sure that we kind of keep on track and keep that project moving. Our budget is currently under development. I honestly foresee it being very similar this year, next year as this year. We're going to make some of the same requests we did last year about staff and that sort of support. One big project that's going to be on that budget next year is going to be a comprehensive plan update. Hopefully we'll have 2 additional transportation studies at least in process by the new budget. Hopefully they'll be pretty close to closing. That being said, moving down to Martintown Road study, we are mostly complete on that. We've had some initial meetings with SCDOT and with some of the adjacent property owners. The discussions with SCDOT feel pretty good. We're pretty positive about some of the findings of the study. We are waiting on some final information from the McKnight tract that's across the eastbound exit 1. That very large tract of land that's a PD and has some general commercial in front. So we're waiting for some final information from them to finalize that study and make our final recommendations. Some initial information has been forwarded to City Council for their review. Hopefully we'll get some feedback from that soon, and we'll go from there. We have a couple of other kind of half related stuff. We've got the 2050 MTP plan from ARTS. That is currently online for public feedback. So we're asking the public, planning commission, everybody. This is related to the workshop that we had in March over at the community center. This is the plan that has resulted from that. So I would recommend that you go take a look at that. We posted it up on the city website and Facebook page. Any feedback is very helpful and very, very welcome. We also have a hard copy here in our lobby if you wanted to come read through that. We do ask that you wear your face mask. We want to be good representatives of the city. So those are some of the larger projects we've been working on. Another project I wanted to just mention kind of in passing is sometime, we think beginning in September, the county is going to be switching over to something called Next Generation 911. The reason I mention this is it's a GIS-based 911 system where I believe hopefully they'll be able to accept text messages and stuff like that to 911. There's some advanced capabilities. But in order to do that, we've gone through, the county's gone through, the city's gone through, we're double checking a bunch of addresses. We're trying to clean up some of our municipal boundaries. So there's a number of properties in North Augusta that the city boundary kind of goes through them. The ones we've sent out some first letters to property owners to let them allow us to annex the rest of the property in. It shouldn't have any effect on their property tax or anything like that. We're just trying to clean up those edges so that it's very easy for Next Generation 911 to find those properties if you do call 911. We're also doing some some address maintenance. We'll have a new addressing tool for addresses. It shouldn't change much what happens with the public, just to let you know kind of what's happening in the background.
Okay. Well, I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Can you kind of give an example of the information you're trying to get from the McKnights on that track? What exactly what is the information we try to get from them?
Okay. So the original PD is a little bit different from what they are thinking they're going to go for, the type of development that they want to go forward with right now. So we're waiting to get some traffic generation numbers. Okay. And to look more carefully at their concept plan so that we know, where traffic will be coming out and maybe what recommendations we need to make about Martintown Road related to that development.
Okay. Can you give us an update on exactly, we've come off the exit, you're seeing a lot of construction. What exactly are we looking at there? And are we going to get one light or two lights? Kind of what are we going to expect to see on Martintown Road in the near future?
Okay.
That's my question too.
Okay. So the Bergen Road intersection is definitely going to be signalized. Those plans are in development right now.
Good.
So when you come
what's the timeline on that Bergen Road one? Do you have any idea?
That one I'm not sure about. That's going through the local safety office, I believe, from SCDOT. So I know they're very close because I've seen some construction plans that are pretty complete. So hopefully it will be soon. That's all I can say.
Okay.
I know they've been in and out of the office a lot with COVID and some of that stuff going on. So
okay.
When it comes to the eastbound exit off of 20 onto Martintown Road, we're getting 2 left-hand turn lanes, and that will be a light there as well.
2 left turn. Okay, good.
Yeah, so that is currently under construction. If you go out there now, you'll see it.
Oh, yeah.
So that should be opening anytime. And that project is directly related to the I-20 bridge project. So the reason that has happened so fast is it's related to that bridge project, and it's really part of the Georgia DOT project that they're working on. So
coming off to turn right is going to continue to turn to the right like it is currently.
Yes, that's the current plan.
No lights on that way, just 2 left turn lanes left with a light. Okay, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very good. Okay.
And that's coming really fast, right?
Yeah, they're working on that one right now. They've got it mostly graded out from the last time I saw it.
Yeah.
Did they take into consideration any of those plans? I mean, the future growth where that frontage road was coming in, and we were saying it was going to be a little problem with people getting out of their apartments and storage houses, and everything was going to be was approved. Is that
yes? So that was part of the overall corridor plan. Phase 1 of that project is going forward. We're waiting on a final plan submittal on that one to give a final site plan approval. So at this time, there will not be a light right there. It is not currently warranted.
Right. Okay.
What about going to the high school? Is there going to be a light there at all coming?
Preliminarily, yes, there should be a light at Knobcombe.
Okay.
And we'll get we'll get into the specifics.
Is that going to be this year?
No, that's not going to be this year.
Okay.
We'll get into the specifics of the plan soon.
Okay, so the Georgia DOT is already working on theirs, and that's already started. So that's going to be quick.
Right.
And then Bergen Road is on the table.
Right.
Okay. So, all right. If we can just get one of them, I think it would help. So I'm excited about that.
Good.
Yeah.
What else?
So by having the one at Bergen Road, I guess there will not be one at the exit 1 westbound. Is that correct? Wouldn't that be too close?
There's not one currently planned there.
Yeah, okay.
And that's part of the issue and why we needed to do the whole to look at the corridor as a corridor is that we're really running into, you don't want to have a light every 100 feet.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah, so. But just to give you all an update on where that is, hopefully that'll be coming out real soon.
Okay. How are things looking for next month? You got a lot in the pipeline. It looks like it's gonna be a busy meeting.
Not particularly yet. So that, Franklin still could come in. We may have one site plan, but that's about it.
Okay. All right. Anything else from Ms. Hodges?
Yeah, I have a question about
Sure.
Clark. Libby, about very shortly after our last meeting, looked like a zoning request sign popped up on the driveway off of Martintown Road up to Victory Baptist, but the next night or two, that a big storm hit it and curled the sign all up, so it's not readable. What's that about?
That was a Board of Zoning Appeals sign. They were requesting a digital reader board sign on a residential property.
Okay.
And what
Yeah.
happened there?
That one has been tabled because there is a text amendment that you guys saw last month or the month before. Time has gotten away from me here lately to allow those signs. You guys voted against it, but as with our required practice, it's been forwarded up to City Council.
Okay, thanks.
Oh. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. Anything else? Good of the order. Libby, well, thank you for all your hard work through all of this, and thank each of y'all for your time tonight, and appreciate all you're doing. So we stand adjourned.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.